But in theory, CBO is a smarter campaign. We test ABO, Beto is Bayana scaling. And basically, the creatives run on that first day, the creatives that are within the benchmark for each niche. And then there's this particularity of the niche. The managers will look at it at the end of the day and understand what sold and what performed. Very interesting metrics that make sense to carry over to the next day, even if there were no sales. So like anything that's way outside the benchmark, for example, if there was an initiate checkout and it's costing too much or the CPC is too high, those creatives don't even make it to the second day.
That order of importance. So sales, CPC.
Sales are always the first priority.
Sales are number one.
Sales are number one. How much is this sale costing? Then we look at the checkout. IC. And then CPC, hook rate, action, the secondary metrics.
The metrics?
Completely secondary. We also look to try to understand the pattern of the winners. But the main thing is always the sale. But if there's a really good IC, we understand that there's still potential. Maybe the sale just doesn't happen. Maybe there's some variable there that we can't see. So it might be that on the second day it performs, yes. So that's what we do. If it sells, it goes to the second day. And there are those other interesting metrics that also go to the second day, right?
All right, we take that creative that sold. So for example, you launch 10 creatives, you launch 10 campaigns on 51. I've seen some people who run with $1 and people who run 1.2, 1.3, $2. How do you do it there? Yeah.
Around 1.3.
1.3. So it's already changed a little bit there. That's what I say. Yeah, sometimes I say, that's why I say this is going to be a podcast that really gets into the details of things because it makes a difference. It really does.
It's just at this point, whether it's $1 or 1.3, maybe doesn't make that much difference in performance.
Yes.
So we set it a little higher there so we could spend more.
I see.
So we could spend more on the campaign because it ends up being less divided. Because whether you like it or not, if I'm at 1.3 instead of 1, I'm able to spend 30% more on that campaign. So I can have campaigns that spend more.
And today, for example, is there a new strategy that people are using? Very few people are using it. Let me open it here. Which is to set a spending limit per ad set. Do you know about this? Did you get to test it?
We tested it, but it's something we tried very recently. We haven't scaled it in that sense, but it did show some interesting results. Do you have any?
With Insight, right? The Bayana scaling in CBO.
Yes, with a spending limit.
With a spending limit. So yes, there is. Some people I saw using it were starting to get results. Interesting. They even asked about it, right? We know because people asked like, hey, is it possible to set a spending limit in direct ads? Before you couldn't, but now you can. Now you can set a spending limit per ad set, which kind of forces the CBO to spend on other ad sets.
Exactly. And
I don't know if you got to test it. How was your experience
there? So first of all, I tried to understand a bit more about the reasoning behind it. I believe that some people are able to get results this way because in theory, CBO should be a smarter campaign than ABO.
People said ABO was going to die long ago, no?
Yeah, so there's that point. They said it was going to die, but in theory, CBO is a smarter campaign.
Yes.
So essentially, they're applying the very same strategy as Bayana.
Psych.
The same psychology, the same foundation in CBO, considering that maybe it's a smarter campaign and setting limits there to make those micro bids as well, kind of in the same sense, to make Facebook spend there, to give your offer a chance for your budget. So, like I said, it's something that's pretty recent. We haven't scaled this way yet, but it has shown some interesting results. So, it just doesn't make sense for me to say that it works really well or that it's something
like that,
since we haven't scaled this way. But we're always testing, and it has shown interesting results.
Okay, cool. So, for example, going back to your testing flow there, you ran the creative test, 10 creatives, 10 campaigns. It sold. Does that creative already need to sell at a profit? Or not, just the fact that it sold for you? Is that already a super important metric? And will you already try to scale that creative in some way?
No, the fact that it sold is relevant for it to run on the second day.
But
to take it to a pre-scaling phase, it has to be within our niche benchmarks. So, for example, cost per sale, cost per checkout, it has to be within those rates that we set there. Because otherwise, when I start to
scale,
for example, the manager goes there, he duplicates those campaigns 5 times to try to do an initial pre-scaling to understand the potential of that creative. If it's already selling with a very tight margin, it's probably going to make you lose money, or it will just break even. Anyway, I don't really think it makes much sense to waste a lot of time on that ad. For me, it makes more sense to test more ads and focus on the best ones.
I see. So it's not just about making sales. Even if it's sold with a positive ROI, you still won't move on to pre-scaling. It depends on the other metrics and controls you have there. The niche matters too. That's important. So you can decide whether it should be scaled up, but you let it run for a second day, at least to gather more metrics.
To gather more metrics. And actually, yes, like I said, what really matters is making sales. So if it made sales on the first day and on the second day it sold again and the cost per sale is good, I won't even pay much attention to the other metrics.
So
It doesn't matter that it just sells. It has to sell with profit. That's the point. But what I mean is if it's already tight, already on the second day, it's selling. Okay,
it's selling with an ROE, but like 1.1,
there,
let's say it's an affiliate. Yeah.
it's there, 1.1, 1.2. Man, if I try to scale this ad, it's not going to perform because it would have to give me a rows there, 1.1, 4, 1.3 when scaling. And if it's already tight there on the, that's you considering a pretty average number, right?
Mhm.
A pretty average number there as an affiliate. But if it's already quite tight there now, then it doesn't really have the potential nor to scale up effectively in the future.